5 seconds to go. Start. We have here the learned Attorney General for India, Mr. K. Venugopal, the learned Senior Advocate, Ms. Geeta Luthra, appearing for the National Commission for Women, the learned Advocate, Mr. Rahul, appearing on behalf of the State of Maharashtra, the learned amicus curiae, Mr. Siddharth Dave, to assist the court, and the learned senior advocate Mr. Siddharth Luthra, appearing on behalf of the Supreme Court Legal Services Committee for the accused Satish and the accused Libnus. The learned Attorney General for India, Mr. K. Venugopal, expressing grave concern about the manner in which the provisions contained in the POCSO Act were interpreted by the High Court, vehemently submitted that such interpretation would lead to devastating effect in the society at large. According to him, the High Court could not have acquitted the accused Satish, misinterpreting the provisions contained in Section 7 on the ground that there was no direct physical contact, that is, skin to skin contact made by the accused with the victim. He submitted that all the alleged acts of the accused, that is, taking the victim to his house, trying to remove her salwar, pressing her breast, and pressing her mouth when she started shouting, were the acts amounting to sexual assault within the meaning of Section 7, punishable with Section 8 of the POCSO Act. Supplementing the said submissions made by the learned Attorney General, the learned Senior Counsel, Ms. Geeta Luthra, relied upon the objects and reasons for enacting the POCSO Act to submit that since the sexual offences against women were not adequately addressed by the existing laws, the POCSO Act was specifically enacted to protect the children from the offences of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and pornography. Ms. Luthra also relied upon the views of the Parliamentary Committee appointed for the purpose of examining the bill with regard to the protection of children from sexual harassment to submit that the sexual offences as defined in clauses 3 and 7 of the bill intended to cover all the likely situations required to be covered thereunder. Ms. Luthra also relied upon a number of judgments of various courts of the United Kingdom and the United States of America, as also of this court, to emphasize the legislative intent behind enacting the POCSO Act. Taking the court to the dictionary meaning of the word touch, physical contact, and sexual intent, she emphatically submitted that the legislature has interchangeably used the words touch and physical contact in Section 7 and therefore restricting the meaning of the word physical contact to skin contact would be a narrow interpretation of the said provision, defeating the very object of the Act. She also pointed out that the High Court had grossly erred in applying the principle of adjusdem generis, which otherwise should not apply where it would defeat the object of the enactment. Similarly, according to Ms. Luthra, The rule of lenity also would not be applicable, there being no obscurity or uncertainty in the provisions of the POCSO Act. The learned senior advocate Mr. Siddharth Dave, appointed as an amicus curiae, also took the court to the scheme of the POCSO Act and specifically to sections 2 and 3 to submit that what is important for the purpose of section 7 is sexual intent. Bisecting section 7 into two parts, Mr. Dave submitted that the first part thereof pertains to the act of touching with sexual intent the vagina, penis, anus, or breast of the child, or making the child touch the said organs of such person or any other person, and the second part pertains to any other act with sexual intent which involves physical contact without penetration. Thus, according to him, in both the limbs of section 7, the mens rea, that is, culpable mental state, the sexual intent of the person accused of the said offence is very material. Pressing into service section 29 and 30 of the POCSO Act, Mr. Dave submitted that the court is required to presume the existence of culpable mental state on the part of the accused, and it is for the accused to prove in defense that he had no such mental state with respect to the act charged as an offence. Mr. Dave also relied upon the unreported judgments of various high courts to buttress his submission that touching in an indecent manner with culpable mental state would amount to sexual assault within the meaning of section 7 of the said act, even though there was no skin to skin contact between the victim and the accused. Stop.